Sonic Forces is overhated. Who could that be? Hold on, I'm coming. Alright, what is it? What the fuck? Sonic the Hedgehog. The blue blur moving at lightning fast speeds all the way back in the 1990s with the first ever Sonic game on the Sega Genesis. This franchise has had its ups and downs with a history of almost getting out of relevancy, like most Nintendo franchises nowadays, but now it has gotten a lot of reputation with its modern titles, starting with Sonic Frontiers, aka the most goated game in the franchise. However, every franchise has to have a point where there's a game that was a huge letdown to everyone, and in fact, Sonic has two disappointments throughout its life. First being Sonic 06, a reboot that was terrible at everything that it was supposed to do, and then the game that we're about to discuss right now, Sonic Forces. This game has gotten a lot of hate due to being not as peak as other Sonic games. Apparently, the levels were so short that they were compared to the length of color stages. And despite having 4 different gameplay styles, they had some drawbacks that made the levels boring. Why do... You can't even go fast. The deceleration is insane. And I can tell you that people aren't exaggerating on how much they hate this game. Even those who aren't even Sonic fans to begin with.
Trying to play the character is literally dog shit.
Like, you don't even get...
Like, the literal character was like, you're a fucking wuss. You joined the army because you met a Shadow Man. Shadow Man wants to kill you. Spares your life. Oh, I will go through and spare your life because I want you to get stronger so you can fight me. And then, of course, he shows up and he's like, oh, wait, you got stronger. After the last time you were a wuss and pussy.
Oh my god. Even though I may disagree with this rant, it was pretty funny, so you should probably watch it. You might have a good laugh out of it. And also subscribe to Luna Fox Gamer as well. Anyways, back to the video. Of course, the general audience would believe that us Sonic fans would fully agree on what's good, bad, peak, or shit. However, I'm here to let you know that's definitely not the case. Us Sonic fans have one thing in common. We never completely agree on what we think is objectively good. And this video proves my point. Why? Well, if you read the title, it should be obvious from the get-go. But just in case you somehow don't know what I'm talking about, I'd like to let you all know this. Sonic Forces is overhated. Now, wait. Before you pull out your pitchforks and guns, especially you guys, let me just make this clear, okay? Let me make this clear. Like stated before, us Sonic fans will never agree with what's objectively good. I've seen many tier lists with an insane amount of different hot takes. And there were also some posts on Twitter saying that 06 is better than Colors or Frontiers. It's not, and I think I shouldn't be shot with takes like this existing. And besides, I'm not afraid to say my thoughts on what I think about this game. Since here on the FlameShot50 channel, whenever I'm not making Friday Night Funkin' mods, DDLC Koiketsu renders or post on Reddit, DDLC mods, reviews on DDLC mods, or attempting FNAF Max modes. Actually, come to think of it, it's been so long since I've done any of those too. Maybe I should go back to it soon? Anyways, we like to talk about our controversial hot takes here, and this wasn't the first time I've done something like this. In fact, I have a lot of hot takes, and I mean a lot. I have a channel dedicated to hot takes on my Discord, which you can join for free if you want to, and I have my head as fire. So of course, I have a lot of hot takes. Or it could be because I'm autistic, but who cares about that? Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get into my Sonic Forces review. Starting off with the story, let's go over the short plot summarized in under a minute by Luna Fox Gamer. Take it away, Luna.
Sonic goes through and encounters Eggman. Eggman brings out his ultimate nuke weapon, which is literally a fox with a mask that he got from Hot Topic. He shows up with all of his previous enemies. Tail cries, and then goes through and spawns out a tiny Sonic. No, wait, it's classic Sonic. They all meet up, they gangbang, they go through and find a way to go through and be a Hot Topic wannabe. I can't even stop myself from laughing with how stupid I sound.
Okay, I'll stop playing that one video again. Here's a more detailed version of this plot. Sonic Forces is a story where Eggman creates a powerful artifact called the Phantom Ruby, which is currently in the hands, or chest, of a strong mercenary named Infinite, who was a leader of a squad known as the Jackal Squad. Shadow killed all of the mercenaries in this squad besides Infinite, and then proceeded to humiliate him by not only defeating him with little to no effort, but then insulting his skills as a fighter by calling him both pathetic and weak by telling him to not show his face ever again. This fueled him with rage after refusing to accept the fact that he isn't the strongest thing alive. So he decided to take part of the experiment that Eggman was doing with the Phantom Ruby, and was reborn into a dangerous and powerful threat. So powerful, in fact, that not only was he able to make clones of Sonic's past rivals and enemies, more on that later, but he successfully defeated Sonic and held him captive in a prison for almost 6 months, torturing him, while Eggman now has full control of the world, which results in the Resistance alongside a rookie soldier, which I'll nickname them as Gadget. Why? Well, Gadget is the name of the wolf represented as the avatar in the promotional material in Sonic Forces. I know that Gadget is a character in the IDW comics, I think, but I've never read the IDW comics, so I could be wrong. But anyways, it's up to Gadget to free Sonic from prison to team up with the Resistance, as well as Classic Sonic to defeat Eggman's army and the powerful mercenary Infinite. Now, if that plot sounded really cool and had a lot of potential to make a great storyline, that's because it is. But let's go over everything with its execution, starting with...
Hey Flameshot, I see you're reviewing Sonic Forces there. Mind if I chill with you a bit?
Sure, Kian. Wait, Kian?
What's up?
What is that?
What's what? Oh, this? Well, what's it look like, Flameshot? It's a gun. Ain't it cool?
Yeah. Wait, are you going to shoot me with that?
Wait, what?
Are you gonna shoot me
Why would I
with
shoot you
that?
with this?
Wait, what?
Why would I shoot you with this?
Because, well, I'm reviewing Forces and you have a gun.
Well, yeah, but why would I shoot you because of Forces?
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, you're reviewing a game, you're giving your opinions. I don't see why I need to shoot you over it.
So you're not going to shoot me?
Flameshot, I've said this twice. I'm not gonna shoot you. You don't need to worry about this, buddy.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anyways, I really do like how Tails is written in this game.
What did you just say?
I really do like how Tails is written in this game.
Remember how I said I wouldn't shoot you?
Yeah?
You know I was still joking with that, right?
What?
Yeah, I was joking. I just want to be here with a gun because I think it makes me cool and yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I wasn't joking. That was a shit take. You're gonna die now.
What? No!
You literally just said Tails is a good written character. Why would you say that?
Because it just makes sense?
You know what else makes sense?
What?
This.
Just to let you all know, this is a joke. I do agree with everyone saying that Tails' character sucks here.
Now, don't make another stupid take like that again. I'll get dashed with the RPG after you.
Anyways, this scenario actually ties perfectly with a flaw about the game's writing. While almost every character in the cast makes an appearance here, which I actually kind of like to see, similar to how Generations, Heroes, and the adventure games have a lot of different characters. However, these characters don't do anything on screen. Even though it's stated that they are doing stuff while the characters we're playing as are doing their own thing, we don't see it on screen. The only time we do see them do something is when they're fighting the clone army created by Infinite. Maybe if they had more animated cutscenes where we actually get to see them do more contributions to Resistance, it'd be a bit more better. And as for those that we do see that isn't a playable character, they're probably mischaracterized a lot. Take Tails, for example. Don't let that skit fool you. And reminder, I don't like Tails' character here either. Surely you could have tried to fight back first before acting like a coward. As for the other factors of the story, the Phantom Ruby had such an amazing concept. just a copy of the Reality Stone, but with additional abilities that make it feel like you're stuck in a dream. But you feel everything within it like it's real. In fact, it's been utilized pretty well with Infinite's boss fights. I mean, besides the last one, but that one, I don't really mind the last one, but you know, more on that later. But with the story, the only significant thing that the Ruby did was make a giant sun that was about to crash down the Earth, like the moon from Majora's Mask. And I can tell that there could have been a lot more tension with this scene, as Eggman basically planned mass genocide in the whole world. Although, I wonder what he would have done after that if he did in fact succeed. Food for thought. But anyways, there was some missed potential with the Ruby, and that potential could be seen from another Sonic game with the Phantom Ruby actually appearing here as well, Sonic Mania. While the Ruby was more controlled by whatever these robots were, it did show reality-bending abilities that were basically your transitions to the next zone, but did show the Ruby had a lot more potential. Episode Shadow apparently had infinite trap Shadow in the reality within the Ruby to torture him, as seen from Stage 3 Virtual Reality. But instead, we just saw Green Hill and some moving cubes, as well as some dialogue within the stage that definitely showed that Rouge and Omega aren't actually real. This doesn't really scream torture. Oh, and as for Infinite, this is the one positive for me that's apparently considered a negative to everyone else. He had everything that made almost every Sonic villain amazing and memorable. A sick design, powerful abilities, a badass theme song, and showed the heroes that he was a threat to not only them and their friends, but to the whole world as well. But Episode Shadow had people lose respect to him because his backstory was that he cried like a little bitch because he got called weak. But there's more to it than that. I mean, I wouldn't be able to make some sort of full-on character analysis because I don't think I'd be that good at it, but I did see some videos doing that, so it's probably worth watching them if you do happen to find it. But like stated before, he's the leader of the Jackal Squad, and considering that they're a defense squad for Eggman, I think it kind of makes sense that Shadow just killed them since, well, they work for Eggman, don't they? That part also seemed to be something people didn't like, as they stated that gave Shadow bad writing because he was some sort of sociopathic murderer. But to me, it's just Shadow killing bad guys like any hero without a moral code would. And also, I don't understand the annoyance of a character becoming evil due to a petty reason. This isn't the only time where something like this happens. I can assure you that there's at least more than one type of media where the villain has a motive that makes zero sense, yet people still like them regardless. Really, the only issue I have about Infinite, which I also find kind of hilarious, is the fact that Sega retconned his backstory. He originally was just another robot like Metal Sonic, as seen from the dialogue after Infinite's final fight. I can't remember which stage it was from. I think it was either 28 or 29. But that doesn't matter. And then Episode Shadow just made him a mercenary, as I explained when I went through the plot. I honestly preferred Episode Shadow's approach, since Infinite just being a robot is kind of lame. I mean, if you need a robot antagonist, just use Metal Sonic. Sure, maybe Infinite could have been a villain due to avenge his squad instead, with the addition of him saying that he isn't weak, but I don't work for Sega. I can't really change the stuff. Anyways, what about the gameplay? Well, there are 4 different ways you can play this game, or 5 if we're including Episode Shadow, or 6 if we include that in Super Sonic, 7 if Classic Super is included too, but I'll talk about that later. The 4 different gameplay styles are Modern, Classic, Avatar, and Modern and Avatar. First, let's go over Modern. Basically, you play as Modern Sonic in these levels. The gameplay is kind of similar to most Boost Formula games. A mix of 3D and 2D while having a boost meter that grants you insane speed and destroying any enemies that get in your way. Unless you're Frontiers. I love these types of playstyles in games like Generations, Colors, and Frontiers. In fact, the boost formula is more similar to Colors, since you have to get some capsules that contain white wisp to refill your boost gauge. Unless you're Supersonic. Speaking of Supersonic, that form isn't important to the story because it's never used in the game. I mean, you can see it in the game, but I mean, like, it's not used in the base game and is in fact DLC. Why? I don't know. You can't even use it in bosses, which is upsetting because I can't do an infinite versus supersonic fight. But I guess it's not really that important anyway. Colors just didn't even have a super form at all. Now, back to the modern Sonic gameplay. He's probably the best to control, besides one more playstyle that I absolutely love. The boost feels really fluid and very smooth to move with, and it's definitely satisfying to boost through the whole stage without bumping into anything, like all other boost formulas. That is, if the entire stages had a lot of things going on. So, for some of these 3D segments in some of these stages, it's just a straight line, which means all you can do is either boost or homing attack if you don't have a boost. It's not that bad, but you'd probably only do that if you were observing a really cool scenery, not when the game makes you focused on the levels, like you have to dodge a lot of things. At least not all 3D segments are like that. And as for the 2D segments, they're miles better compared to some 3D segments, since you actually get to do more than just full boost and that's it. And at least there are some branching paths in both 2D and 3D. But overall, the level design, while I think is fine for either a first level or when it's more focused on observing a beautiful scenery, it's kind of uninspiring and doesn't have that much effort. Moving on to the avatar stages, this is where the game gets pretty interesting, because you can create your own character. That's right, Sonic Forces was secretly Dragon Ball Xenoverse free in disguise! Maybe I'll just cut that, never mind. I honestly love making characters in other media, which is why when I heard that Forces had that, I kind of wanted to get it. But a price tag at $60 AUD is probably too much for a game that is considered a contender as the worst Sonic game. It's not, but I have an idea of why people say it's bad. Okay, can you leave me be now? More on that later. Anyways, the avatar levels are probably the most well-designed levels when it comes to how it functions and how it's designed. There are many different ways for you to play these stages, whether through set different paths. Yes, different paths in a Forces level. I promise I'm not lying. Please don't unsubscribe. Or different Wisp-Ons. What are Wisp-Ons? They are the gadgets that you use to make up for the fact that you don't have a boost meter. Yeah, that's right. Avatar stages don't have boost, so you have to rely on more than just holding forward and X. That being said, I think these stages do great with implementing different ways to play with different Wisp-Ons, especially the Lightning Wisp-On, which utilizes shortcuts if you get the proper Wisp, although that's not to say that some of them are kind of useless. Like, who would ever use Cube? But regardless, these stages are probably the most well-rounded with design, function, and replayability, thanks to the different Wisp-Ons. The classic stages, though, is probably the most one-sided when it comes to a factor instead of multiple factors. Why? Well, let's get the positives out of the way. The stages themselves are the best designed out of all the stages here. Now, hold on. Look, sure, there's one thing I'll get to later, but the level design is pretty good, besides Iron Fortress. Unlike any other stage, it's not that linear and it has a lot more different alternate routes on how you can complete the stages. You can do more than just hold forward and jump, or spin dash. So really, it is safe to say that the classic Sonic stages are the best stages in this game. Classic Sonic himself is not. Unlike every other playstyle in this game, it has the worst functions and physics. For one, the deceleration is insane unless you're spin dashing, and also, was there really a reason to bring him back? I guess because of Sonic Mania, because the Phantom Ruby was there as well, but where's the explanation? Also, why are they saying he's from a different dimension? Don't these guys remember Generations?
We're traveling through time, Sonic!
Speaking of Generations, the classic Sonic physics there were good, and they could have just convert the physics there. I mean, sure, it could be lazy, but at least it would still make it a bit more fun to control, but nope, they somehow made it worse. And the good stage design had to suffer from it. Now we'll talk about my favorite playstyle, Modern and Avatar. It's basically in the name. You have the boost formula of Sonic and the wisp bonds of the Avatar. So that means you gotta use both mechanics in one level. And there are some segments in these levels where you can utilize an ability called the Double Boost. It's basically like a normal boost, except you destroy everything in its path and can't stop moving. It's just a cutscene at this point, but it does look cool. All in all, the gameplay has its pros and cons with every playstyle. I wouldn't call it absolute dog shit, but it's just solid at best with some good or great stages, and just bad at worst with 1 or 2 shit stages, with it averaging as pretty decent. But it's not peak like Frontiers or Generations, so from what I've gathered and explained, this game just sounds kind of average, or pretty good if you have an optimist mind. So, why is this game hated and compared to games like 06, Rise of Lyric Chronicles, and many others? And why do I not hate it as well, like most Sonic games? Well, we'll have to go back to the moment when this game got first announced. For context, this was announced during Sonic's 25th anniversary. At least, that's when I think it was announced. And the previous mainline Sonic game was Lost World, and Sonic Boom existed, and was probably going to be considered as canon, so basically, this was not a great time to be a Sonic fan. And this game had high expectations, as no one liked the Boom games at all. I know, I didn't like it. Rise of Lyric should be considered worse than 06. I mean, the only good one is Fire and Ice, but who cares about that? It's not peak like every other game, so... Anyways, back to the topic at hand. The teasers about this game were pretty sick, and considering that this was probably going to be considered as a Generation sequel, everyone was pretty hyped. But it turns out that it was actually the descendant of both Generations, Colors, and Xenoverse. It certainly didn't help that the price tag was also pretty big, as well as the fact that some unnecessary DLC was behind a deluxe edition. You were probably better off with getting other games instead of Forces with the amount of money you needed to spend with that. And I don't know how much the deluxe edition costed, since it's no longer available due to a factor that I'll get to later. But I assumed that paying for this DLC would just be burning your money. The reception of the fans definitely hurted Sonic's reputation during this time frame, and actually was almost the final nail in Sonic's coffin. And it took Frontiers to save the franchise's life, which brings us to many years later, where I got the game 4 months ago and made this video now. Here's a fun fact. Would you believe me if I said that I was almost going to get the game during this time period, but didn't get it, not because I heard it was terrible, but because I actually thought that I already had the game. So, I think I was 10 at the time, and my mom was going to get me Sonic Forces for the Switch. However, I said no thanks, because I said that I already have it. And I was referring to fucking Speed Battle. Yes, I genuinely thought that Forces was just Speed Battle, and that's it. Trust me, I've done more stupid things when I was young. But now that I'm almost 19 and got the game months ago, you might wonder, why do I not hate Forces like everyone else? Well, going back to why I think everyone hated Forces, this game was released during a time when Sonic was almost getting out of relevancy, much like most Nintendo franchises nowadays. Forces had high expectations, and while I think it's pretty solid, it wasn't good enough to save the franchise, and the prices definitely didn't help at all. In fact, when I wanted to get Forces to make this video, yeah, this video was the main reason why I was considering getting Forces, that price tag was really conflicting me a lot, since on one hand, I kind of wanted to get the game so I could make another review video about this game, and when I was expecting me to actually agree with everyone saying that this is probably one of the worst Sonic games to ever exist. But on the other hand, since I didn't want to spend $60 on a game considered bad, and I had no clue how much the DLC costed since it wouldn't give me a price tag unlike other DLC from other games, I was really second guessing myself if I wanted to actually do this. That was until a certain point in time during Steam when I saw that some Sonic games had some sales. And when I saw Force's price, that gave me an insane deal. and I thought that it was worth getting the game with a price of $15 compared to the full price of $60. Now, since I didn't have an idea on how much the DLC costed, I wanted to take a look at the DLC myself to see if anything changed. So I looked at episode Shadowland. It was free? Now, this actually surprised me since I didn't expect to see free DLC with extra stages and being able to play as Shadow in 10 Sonic stages. Oh, and speaking of Shadow, he's just basically the same as Sonic, except he's able to chain home attack, but you're not able to have any opportunities to do that in Sonic stages, so it's just basically a reskin. But it was pretty cool. So that covers two factors that probably influenced my thought process. A ridiculous price drop that was worth for how much I wanted to spend the game on, and free DLC that no longer required a deluxe version. Maybe someone in the comments could tell me how much the deluxe version would have costed. Oh, and as well as the additional fact that Sonic is no longer dying due to the new releases, and that I had low expectations, because I've already heard about the negative reception of this game. Of course, people might have all of these factors within them as well, and still consider it as the worst Sonic game, so the only other thing that I could think of is that I'm autistic and think differently about opinions from everyone else. You know, to be honest, I don't think that's a good enough excuse, but I think that's pretty much all I could come up with. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has different opinions, and they shouldn't be judged because of it. So, that wraps up my Sonic Forces review. Overall, I believe that this game is kind of overhated. I mean, does the game have a lot of flaws? Perhaps. Is it a masterpiece in the like of Frontiers and Generations? No. But did I enjoy playing the game despite its many issues? Most definitely. Get the reference. That said, it's probably only worth it if you get it for a 75% off deal like I did. That way, you'd probably feel like you didn't spend too much money on a game like Forces. And hey, Overclocked exists in case you want a Sonic Forces that basically acts like if Sega put full effort onto making this. Actually, maybe, if you guys are interested, I can make an Overclocked review as a sequel to this video. I'd recommend getting it if you want to try it out yourself, because compared to other Sonic games that I consider bad, it's not that trash. But I highly recommend not getting it at full price like I did. It may be a contender as the worst Sonic game in most people's eyes, but I consider it to be a solid baseline of what a good Sonic game is. If I were to rank it in a tier list, it would go in B tier. Pretty good, but nothing special. I know that almost everyone would disagree with my take, but I really don't care. Everyone has opinions that are vastly different from others, so obviously we shouldn't be injuring each other because of that. So don't worry, Forces. No matter what people say about you, you'll have a special place in my heart. As well as the 20 bullets in my heart as well.
So wait a minute. Frameshot.
Yeah?
So you're basically saying you took us here so we can listen to you yap about Sonic Forces and why it's a good game?
Yeah.
Gang, get the final kill.
What? What the fuck? Kian, whose idea was this?
Oh, this is all my idea. You're welcome, by the way.
Oh, you motherfucker.
Oh, you're still here? Well, you see the text above me. It says thanks for watching. And to my left and my right is like 2 other videos. And I suppose in the description is like some channels you can go visit. You should subscribe to mine. And, well, I don't know. It just will be. And, yeah. I don't really know what to say. Okay, I'm bored. Flameshot, get over here.
Yeah?
How do we end this video?
Oh,
I have an idea.
What? What are you doing?
Hey, Flameshot, catch!
What? Ah!
Why is there a lot of explosions in this video? This isn't directed by Michael Bay, is it?